Hello, can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We have
Okay,
somehow echo, or it's only me.
it could be me.
Now it's fine. I think it's fixed now.
Okay, great, great.
Yep.
Well, then let's say hello. So I can start. My name is Nikos Tellis. I'm one of the organizers of Azure Skåne, and I will pass the ball to Mikael, who might have to leave shortly.
I'm Michael here. I guess that's the intro.
Negar?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Negar here. I'm also a co-organizer for Azure Skåne. Good to be here with Saeed today.
Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
we have our speaker. I have just confirmed that we are live. I can see us on YouTube, so perfect. Said,
Yep.
would you like to say a short introduction of yourself, and then the stage is yours?
Yeah. Let's do that. First of all, thank you so much. No, first of all, hello everyone, and then thank you so much, Azure Skåne. It's pretty much nice every year for Global Azure. I have this chance to be on this amazing stage with amazing audience, organizers. I know Michael, Nikos, and Negar, they are doing a lot of things together to be able to manage and basically host this Global Azure every year. We've had this chance to have it in person last years, but now we have it digital, let's say, as a webinar, which is basically, again, it's amazing. However, of course, I really love to have eye-to-eye contacts with the audience, but now it's like small, dots here. That's it's camera, but that's really great. So first of all, thank you so much that having me again on this stage. And second is like deja vu. Every year, Said is here talking about something that is somehow pretty much close to hybrid environment, but added some kind of add-ons on top of it. So yeah, thank you so much again.
Sure, nice to have you.
Good.
Now we're disappearing to the backstage, and good luck to you. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and let's begin. Yes, good. Once again, welcome to this session, or let's say another Global Azure at Azure Skåne. I'm so honored that I have this chance to be on this stage every year. And this year is going to be a bit different because normally I'm coming and talking about how cloud is amazing, how help others that they have on-premise resources and how should have a kind of hybrid environment. With that kind of mindset that I always have, I was thinking, okay, what about AI? We are talking about AI like every day on phone, on TV, headsets, keyboards, every single things that we have around us, it's AI based nowadays. So what about if we want to have AI in some kind of close to our on-premise? So definitely having AI in cloud is amazing, using and consuming those kind of AI models from cloud or cloud providers and services. But how about the kind of project or solutions that we need to have basically AI everywhere without connection to any cloud or basically past those kind of limitations that we have. So today we have this topic, bring AI to edge, deploy, manage and control intelligence solution everywhere. And as you can see, I bolded AI solution everywhere because I believe if we want to extend our solutions, we need to have this idea that we can extend our solution everywhere. So with that said, when we are talking about I believe based on my experience, what I've experienced based on the solution that I've created for many customers, the conversation that I have had with those kind of customers that they basically requested for different kind of solutions based on the limitations or some kind of solutions, regulations, policies that they have had. I basically categorized this content that I'm going to share with you in 6 different pillars: foundation, planning, tools, implementation, manage, and extend. So today we are going to dive into different aspects of each pillars. And of course, we are going to have demo because I always promise to have demo. So basically, we are going to dive to the technical side as well. But of course, before that, we need to get enough understanding around this kind of scenarios. So before go for that, so a bit boring part about me. So my name is Saeid Dahl. I'm head of public cloud and AI at my company Upheads. We are doing a lot of amazing job around AI services nowadays. Also, if you want to connect me, saeiddahl.com, you will be a bit surprised about the page that you are going to open. But I was thinking, okay, I love something that I need to put in my website. And if I want to make it a bit easier for you to be able to connect me, so there is several clicks there that you can basically be able to connect to me. So I'm Microsoft Azure MVP, also MCT Leader. I'm board member of Microsoft Zero to Hero and MS Farsi community and Global Azure. So these events that's basically under Global Azure umbrella. It's a big collaboration between communities and Global Azure. And at Global Azure, we are several people that basically trying to make these events happen, which this year started from 16 until tomorrow. And today is one of those event days for Global Azure. So I'm pretty much happy that every year that we can help other communities to be able to run Global Azure across globe. In this picture, there is many funny things. So as you can see, there is a device on my hands. This is the server that I brought with me myself to a last conference that I had in Denmark. So I wanted to show audience how they can basically literally connect everything from on-premise to cloud and manage that from cloud. So I built everything on my server. I brought it to the conference, connected there, and show everyone that they can connect to my server. However, that server is managing inside cloud. So it was really fun that we can have that kind of demos. And today it's basically some part of the demo that I'm going to show is based on this device. So I have it at home, I connected to cloud, and basically we can use that. Good. Let's start with the foundation. So I've added two pictures here. First picture is beautiful apple tree, pretty much powerful roots connected to earth, and it's pretty much landed perfectly. Beautiful fruits on this tree. And the other one is the same tree, but not really great root. So why I added this one here? So the AI solutions, or let's say most of the solutions, is like this. You can build your solution, which has a very good foundation, but you need to be careful. So it means doesn't matter if you can say, okay, this solution is working perfectly, but how about the root? Have you think about how much is perfect, how much is designed perfectly, how much is following all the necessary things that you can say, okay, this is the best solution that I have based on the foundation that I have created. And then it comes to that idea, what is that foundation? So in this idea, we can say foundation for AI is learning. So it's important that you learned enough about the solution. You need to investigate time. You need to basically invest your time to learn about all the aspects of the solution. And then you can call yourself a solution architect, right? So learning is the main foundation of any kind of solutions, specifically nowadays AI. And of course, we have a lot of AI tools that can help you to extend your capability to learning faster. So you need to use all of these tools together to be able to build those kind of solutions. Then you are going to have a perfect solution when you basically thought about all the foundation, all the roots that you need for your solution. But there is another things that I have it in the other picture. So as you can see, I have a beautiful tree, pretty much good root, but there is someone who is going to destroy that root. So This is another concept. This is another thing that I really want to share with you. I've been in a lot of solutions, or let's say scenarios, that when I've talked to customers, they said, yeah, we basically created a very good solution, but somehow when we want to extend that, it's not enough good. It needs to be refactored, the solution. We need to somehow change the different part of the solution to be able to extend it. So that's another obstacle of this kind of design. So sometimes you have a good foundation, a good result. However, there are several things that you are missing, and it means you are going to damage that solution. So what you should do now, it's all about learning. So I always suggest everyone as a Microsoft Learn expert to dive to the solution, understand different aspects of the solution from Microsoft Learn, read more about that, and then extend your idea about how you can leverage these kind of tools or services to be able to extend your solution. So the foundation and first pillar for this kind of idea, or let's say solutions that is going to be extend, is the learning. And it's pretty much important. As you know, you can nowadays use a lot of tools to learn and extend your solution. Maybe you say, okay, I can fix it with some vibe coding, but at the end of the day, vibe coding is not just AI do something for you. It's important that you learn and know how AI is doing that. So please make sure that you have built that foundation in your all the journey that you have, and then you can, of course, jump to the next step. Okay. Planning. For every single project that you are going to start, definitely you need to have the planning. You need to have the strategy. You need to know how you should start, how you can continue, what is the deadline, how you can extend it. And basically, it gives you a very good vision of the feature of your solution. So with that said, I define 5 scope here under planning that basically you need to think about that. The first one is defining AI use cases. It means, okay, maybe the solution that you are going to build is pretty much unnecessary to consume some kind of local model. And it means, okay, if I'm going to build that solution, is it really necessary to build on, for example, a data center, or I can consume the public models like AI Foundry, or vice versa? Maybe it's something that I cannot spend money and time for public cloud because of a lot of limitation, regulation, which basically nowadays we have data sovereignty requirements for many companies. They pretty much want to be able to use AI, but when it comes to public sectors or some kind of public services, it's going to be a bit limited a bit more. So it means, okay, you have some kind of sensitivity around how to use data or AI in your solutions, then it's one of the requirements. And these cases is coming to that action that you need to have some kind of on-premise resources to be able to build your solution. So defining AI use case is the first action. And then we have decide architecture pattern. Is it cloud only? Is it hybrid, or it's fully edge solution? So in the demo, I'll show you how it's going to work, but basically, I can always suggest the hybrid solution is the best. But again, it pretty much depends on what kind of solution you are going to build or what is the end goal that you are going to achieve. So deciding around the architecture's pattern is pretty much important here. Then selecting the models. We have a bunch of models nowadays, right? From chat completion, generating video, voices, text to speech to text. So there are a lot of models out there. But when it comes to that kind of solutions that you are going to build, then maybe you are going to face some limitations. So you need to identify which kind of models or which category of the models it's really important for you and you want to leverage that, which is including the number of tokens, the capabilities, the hardware requirements that you need. Is it really necessary to have GPU, or you can just fix it with CPU, which I'm going to show you in the demo. And then you can decide which model is the best for you to continue. The other one is identifying target environments. So when we are talking about on-premise, it's a bit different than cloud, right? So in cloud, we have several options, like you can use Foundry, AI Foundry, then you have serverless, you can either use your VM inside Foundry connected to some resources inside Azure. But when it comes to on-premise, it's a bit different. So either you are using edge devices, for example, NVIDIA Jetson. You need to have this edge device somewhere around a company, I don't know, physical place, like in, I don't know, into a device or into, I don't know, a machine. So basically, this edge device needs to have that kind of AI capability to be able to work somehow with that kind of devices. So that's really important, because then you need to decide which hardware is the best for that kind of solution. And then we are talking about actual on-prem. For example, if your company does have some kind of data center and you want to consume that data center for some kind of solution that you are going to build, definitely if it's those kind of models that it's necessary to have the GPU, then you need to decide what kind of GPU, how much is going to be the cost, and so on. And then we have Kubernetes clusters, some of the models that you can build inside Kubernetes clusters. And then you have other options to be able to build those kind of models inside your clusters as well. And then the last one, which is aligned with governance. So as I mentioned in the two first options, or let's say items that we have in this page, we have basically some limitations, some kind of regulation, or some kind of governance and security rule inside your company. And those kind of things basically leads you to how to build your scenario. So it can be around the security, compliance, or identity. So in some projects or some kind of solutions, you are pretty much limited based on the confidentiality of the data or the usage of the AI. It should be pretty much isolated in your on-premise or edge devices. So with that said, you need to be able to build your solution, which is pretty much secure in terms of the access to that resource, either hardware side. Also, it needs to be compliant. It means based on the rules and policies that you have in your company, some kind of actions needs to be applied for those kind of services. And then you have identity, that it might be combined with some kind of let's say in old-fashioned local Active Directory. It's one of the examples. So it needs to identify, or let's say communicate with those kind of services. So all of this together is something that it's based on the requirement you have for governance and controlling the security. Perfect. When we are talking about planning, I always talking to customers and my friends that start with busyness and constraints, not the technology. Why I'm saying that? So you need to understand, in very simple terms, is like you need to understand what exactly you need. You need to understand what is the plan, what is the strategy, what is the next 5 years for this solution. And then easily you can decide what kind of technology you need to apply for that. If you do vice versa, you go with the technology without you know what exactly business needs, at least for next 2 years, what is going to be happen? As soon as technology upgrades or changed, it's pretty much basically hard to be able to refactor your environment. This is the experience that I've had. I remember I had a customer. They have built a solution around 2 years ago, which was based on one of the AI solution, basically trend AI solution on that time, 2 years ago. And they choose the technology on top of the business planning. So what happened after 6 months, they wanted to change to another model using the new technology. And they said, okay, now we have limitation because we never seen that it's going to grow that fast. So what I'm saying here, make sure that you have good planning, a good business plan for your AI solution or any AI products, and then choose the technology. Because as I've said, technology is growing fast, and then it's pretty much easy to refactor and update it. Then we are talking about tools. So when we are talking about Microsoft ecosystem, we have a lot of AI tools from Microsoft, from Copilot, Copilot Studio, now Copilot agents, a lot of things coming around the AI and help us to extend our solution very fast. But my focus is more around Azure and AI Foundry side, because I normally define and build the services in that layer of the services that Microsoft providing. So when we are talking about cloud solution, we have Azure AI Foundry or Microsoft Foundry nowadays. And basically we can build and prepare AI models. Either you can train your model, fine tune it, or use the model catalogs that is available in Azure right now, or Microsoft Foundry portal. And then you have a lot of possibilities around using role-based access control or API connections to be able to communicate with the models, create agents, and then communicate with the services, connect to the knowledge base. And basically you can have a lot of things around that, which basically helps you to build your solution very fast. And then of course you have access to a lot of model in model catalog. But as I've said, maybe sometimes you are facing several limitations here. And then we are talking about Foundry Local. So Foundry Local which is publicly available now. Public preview is released recently. General public, it's generally available for everyone. And it's Local Foundry SDK. With this model of AI, you can build the local AI model on your device or in your PC. So basically, you can use Python, C#, JavaScript to be able to use those SDKs to build some kind of AI services on your premises. So basically, you can have it on either Jetson, on Linux, Mac OS, Windows, and basically you can extend your model in different ways that you want. And basically there are several models that been supported so far. Of course, it's going to be extended a bit more. It depends if you have CPU or GPU. Definitely if you don't have GPU nowadays, you don't need to have high power or let's say powerful hardware to run it. I can tell you that I can run it on my laptop right now with no GPU. Also, the server that you've seen in the picture that I shared in the introduction slides, that one doesn't have any GPU as well. It's just CPU-based model. And then you can build and extend your solution. This is one of the demo that I'm going to show to you. And when I'm talking about the kind of tools that you are going to use, what I can tell, make sure that you are using the native tools. This is the best way that you can make sure you are not going to have some kind of fragmentation in terms of the service that you are going to create or build, or some kind of application that you are going to create. This help you to stick into one let's say ecosystem or the platform that you can use and extend your solution. It doesn't mean that you are not able to use other things like, I don't know, Llama or Claude. That doesn't mean that you should do that. But when you want to build a solution, it's better to have platform native tools to help you. Good. Now we are talking about implementation. First of all, before we go for the actual implementation, we need to understand how does work Foundry Local. So Foundry Local is basically a pact of 3 different steps that we can say, okay, which start with your application code. You can choose between JavaScript, Python, C# or Rust for your endpoint. Also, it does support REST API endpoint for your solution. And then you have Foundry local core API, which communicating with each other. You have format by Windows, or you can use Linux or Mac OS, as I said, even your laptop. So basically you can have native library for based on what you are using. You can manage your models, which I'm going to show you. You can basically leverage Onyx runtime to make sure even if you don't have GPU, still you can use model for your environment. And then you can choose between different models that are basically available in the Foundry local. And of course, WinML is one of the features that you can use. And all these things together make a kind of package that you can build your application and basically provided to end user. And sometimes it's not only end user, definitely sometimes it's machine sending some information or communicating with the other services. Nowadays we are talking about agentic AI, MCPs, how tools can be leveraged here. And this is what exactly I'm going to show you how you can leverage that. So basically this is the idea that you can have around Foundry local. Good. So when we implement the solution, it's not the end goal for us because we need to manage and we need to extend. The things that I'm going to share you here, it's all about the theoretical part of the idea. I'm going to show you in the demo as well. So you can get a very good insight about how it does work, how basically you can manage that, control it, and extend it. So first of all, when we are talking about manage, I always saying it's really great when you have everything in cloud, because then basically you just need to have internet, connect to that resource and done. Somehow, like even with VPN. But how about edge devices? For edge devices, sometimes you have limitation about how to communicate, about security. You may need to open port for firewall. You need to have internet, active internet on your device, or basically then maybe a static IP. You know, there are a lot of things around the management, security, compliance, and so on. So with that said, we have a solution that you can manage your environment from Azure environment. So the solution here is Azure Arc. So the diagram that I put here, it's pretty much all the things Azure Arc is doing now today. But the point is we basically going to talk about this part, Arc-enabled servers, Arc-enabled server, and then industrial assets. So the other parts that you can see here, it's pretty much out of this scope that we are talking today, but we are talking about operational edge. So basically what we have on servers, on services and industrial assets is we need to control them from cloud. So in the idea of Azure Arc means you need to run something that it's built an agent inside your services, like your Linux machine or Windows machine or any kind of edge device that you have. And then that agent is responsible to communicate to Azure Arc and Azure Portal. And then when it's connected to Azure environment, then you can easily manage your services or that specific machine or edge device from Azure. It can be controlling based on the performance or patch management, security, either logging to that server without opening any port to your server or that edge machine. So it's always available and basically you can use it in very different ways. So basically this part can help us to manage the environment. But how about the extend? When we are talking about the extend, it means maybe sometimes we need to use the hybrid solution. The demo that I prepared for today's session is pretty much show you how you can leverage the hybrid solutions here. But when we are talking about hybrid solution, it means as much as you can build everything around that edge device or Foundry local or the local LLM that you have. And if it's something that, for example, consuming the GPU for the model, then you can send those requests outside of that local model. And combination of these two together will help you to build a solid solution. Definitely you need to think about some kind of, you need to consider about some kind of security compliance again. But as I've said, and I showed you in the first slide of the planning, you need to consider how to build all these components together to follow the exact things that you had in your planning part. So that's really important. Good. Let me share my environment. I need to stop the sharing and then let's do it here. Good. What I'm going to do, I really want to show you for those that maybe never seen the actual Foundry environment. So this is the Microsoft Foundry, the public service that you can have access based on the public models. It's connected to your environment, definitely. You need to have the subscriptions connected to your environment. And as soon as you got access and you built your first project, you can see you have a lot of things here. For example, I can select the models based on the model that I need to have. If I want to do fine tunes and build some kind of models that understands the busyness and services that I have. If I want to connect it to any kind of tools, for example, the pre-ready connection to Fabric, SharePoint, or any kind of automation, or if I can consume the catalog, tool catalog that Microsoft basically provided, or even MCP. You can have the knowledge connected if you want to connect it to any data, or the coolest part is about the agent, so you can build agent or orchestrated agent for your solution. But all of these things is pretty much placed in public cloud. So what we are talking about Foundry, I'm going to basically reference it to Microsoft Foundry Cloud, and Nikos, you can send the link of this page to the audience so they can have it there. So pretty much easy. You just need to go to basically the link that it has been shared, and several easy steps. So you just need to have the Python. If you are going to use Python, in this scenario that I have, I'm using Python. And then just clone the Git repo that Microsoft provided, and it's free, just so you know, so you do not need to pay for anything. Then go to the project that you have. I'm going to show all of these things together in the demo part. And then based on the project or test that you want to do and repository that is there are a lot of samples, not a lot, let's say 6 important samples there. And then you can test the scenario, use the platform that you want, for example, either if it's Windows or it's cross-platform. So basically you can install the Stickam package. There is a Pi app that you need to create it. And as soon as you copy and paste this, basically you can just run Python app.py, and basically you can start working with the model. As you can see, it's like maximum 6 steps for just start with the solution, or let's say Foundry local. And then there are a lot of tutorials that Microsoft provided here. So I'm 100% sure if you just go through that, you can understand a lot of how to leverage this Foundry local. And the point here is, if you even never worked with some kind of local LLMs, This one is pretty much straightforward, and you can start with something, and I believe you can have a lot of idea around that, how to build your solutions. Okay, good. So let me bring my project here, which I have built, and also we can go through. Okay, I need to stop and start sharing again. Screen, there we go. Good. So this is exactly what you are going to get when you clone that repository from Microsoft, except this demo folder, because this demo folder is something that I built in the same directory. But I think I'm going to share also this demo in my repository very soon, as it's ready, because I put a lot of other things into it. You will see why I need to somehow clean it up, and definitely I'm going to share it in my repository, and then you can get access and start testing. But as I've said, the sample part is really important because you can start from here, and you can choose the language that it's your favorite one, and then you can continue from there. Select the different tutorial that there is here. For example, tool calling you can have LangChain integration. For those that they are pretty much working with vibe coding or spec coding, what I can suggest here, just clone the repo, connect it to your VS Code Copilot, and just ask AI to explain all this repository to you, and then you dive into different aspects of that and understand how it does work actually. So this is really important to understand what is this. And then different tutorial that you have here that you can build. The only things that I would like to show is the demo. So for the demo, what I've done, there is two different things that I built here. The backend, which is the Python code, and working with Foundry local REST API to be able to do all the things that I need for my demo. And then the front end, which is basically the React application to just communicate with the API that I built inside the Python code. So here, if I go here and show you the code, so as you can see, there is a lot of things. That's why I saying that it's better if I share this repository with you, so you can get a lot of information around that. For example, I've added several things here. So for metrics, and this is what exactly I mentioned. When you want to build a solution, you need to be able to control and manage it. And this is one of the things that you need to build for any AI solutions. Normally we say, okay, we need to have control on all of the aspects of our application or services. For AI, it's like 2x. So you need to have more control. And that's why even if it's Foundry local, I have created a metric to show you that you can build such a solution for your AI services. And then there are a lot of other things that you can build here. I've added more things to my scenario if I want to compare it with, if I have any here, I think, I'm not sure if I built anything under this solution, but we can jump from that. But if I reference to that page that I showed you from Microsoft, you can easily copy the file, the source code that there is there, that you can start with something with your solution. So this is the entire code for the backend. And then, of course, we have a front end, which is basically, as I said, based on the React JSON. So let's run the application that I have. I'm going to, again, stop screen, because this time I'm going to share the entire screen. Here we go. I think it's this one, yes. Perfect. So now we have the entire screen, so I can easily switch between the windows. As I've said, there is front-end and backend. So for backend, first of all, I'm going to run my Python app.py. And if you remember, I said it's going to be work with API, the REST API of the Foundry. And as you can see, it's run on my local machine. And also I have the front-end part. So now the front-end is working as well. So I'm going to bring it here. This is what I have built for front-end part. So there is a lot of things that I'm going to show you here. Definitely you can build your front-end in the way that you really love. But what I wanted to show you, all the capabilities that you can get from Foundry local with very simple steps. So if you remember, I said when you have Foundry local, you can either use model based on CPU or GPU or both. So this frontend and API that I have created, it's going to fetch all the possible models or available models. And you can see some of them is tagged by CPU and some of them is by GPU based on different models. And the way that I have created this one is basically working with downloading the models and then located into my local machine, and then I can consume that model. So to do a test, I'm going to have one of these one that is already cached. It's already downloaded, so it's cached in the memory, and basically it's going to get some information from that. So if I switch back to API, as you can see, it's calling the different stream, or let's say the API calls that I have built for my application. So back to here, this is the AI model that has been loaded. So pretty much connected to all the things that I need. So pretty much chat completion, very easy. And I can ask anything that I need based on any other chat. But one thing that is important here is how we can extend this solution. I mentioned that based on the tool calling that we have today, we can connect the Foundry local to that tool calling to be able to either use MCP or call the other tools, API, and services. So basically, you can extend this Foundry local to other services to get some information from your applications or other service that you have in your environment. The good thing is Foundry local consuming your hardware, right? So you are not paying for any kind of tokens. Negar. Oh, okay. Sorry. So now when we have these models running on our local machine, you just need to consume your hardware, and then basically you are able to extend your solution, right? So you are not paying for the tokens. You just need to think, okay, what kind of hardware you can have for even a simple application or service that you are going to build. However, if I want to extend this idea that what kind of scenario that we can build, as you can see in these models or model catalog that we can get from Foundry local, we have simple models, and those kind of that is pretty much extended. It's not having all the capability of the other models, right? For example, we don't have vision, creating image or so on, and then continue if you want to have some kind of a bit more smart or complex models, then you need to have GPU. So we want to keep it simple, right? Be able to consume the other services as well. To do that, I mentioned that we can build hybrid solution, right? To have the hybrid solution, you can use Foundry, Microsoft Foundry public service, and then bring those models together with your Foundry local. In this scenario that I have built here, I wanted to show you that you can easily bring public models here. So here I have a public model which is generating image. It's MI image 2E, the recent model that Microsoft basically released inside Foundry AI Foundry catalog. So basically you can use that, ask to create image and so on. But what I have built here, I've tried to create tool which is going to consume that specific model. So if I go here, this is the tool that I have connected and tell, okay, create an image of a dog is flying. Good. So it's a start to thinking and seeing if it can use models. If I go here, as you can see, it's a start to tool streaming and it's thinking. And as you know, Phi3 Mini, of course, it's not going to generate any kind of image for you, specifically when you have Foundry local limited to CPU. But it's going to call the API I have for specifically that image. So as you can see, easily I have created an AI which is for normal chat or conversation. I can consume the token that I have in Foundry local, which is great. So it's pretty much free for me. And then we have the Foundry, Microsoft Foundry public service to be able to do other tasks. So it's pretty much important to understand that you can have a hybrid solution for your scenario. And again, you can see the API does work in the way that I want. The other part that I mentioned, it's really important. We need to have control, and normally when it comes to AI, we call it observation and controlling the AI services, which is include how many token has been used, who has get access to that services, who is doing what. So all of these things together is pretty much important that we have a good monitoring around that. So to do that, I built this pretty much simple dashboard, which is showing me how many call I had, how many tokens have been used, which tools has been basically used, which kind of models, how many times, and which time. So you need to actually build. The reason that I'm showing you here is you need to understand how to build this kind of dashboard, and it's part of the planning. So when you are talking about building a solution, that it needs to be able to somehow limited, isolated, following any kind of compliance and regulation. So you need to build that kind of dashboards as well. Again, if I back here, as you can see, based on the API service that I have created for the Foundry local, it's consuming those kind of things. Good. So I have built another things. This one is pretty much specific to my amazing friend Nikus. So I built this specific option in my AI service to make him a bit happy. So I named it Magic. So it's just fun. That's I said I need to remove it and clean it up when we want to have it in my repo, but maybe I can push it that as well. So because Nikus definitely is number one. Good. Now we are talking about how we manage the environment, right? So about managing the environment, if you remember, I said Azure Arc is the solution that you can manage your environment. To do that, you can go to Azure Arc and then Azure Arc machines. Pretty much easy. Onboarding one machine. I'm going to just select randomly information here because I want to show you just how it does work. Linux. And then, of course, if you want to have public endpoint, which is pretty much easy, you do not need to open anything in the gateways. But for private endpoint, definitely you need to consider Arc gateway or any kind of VPN connection to your resources. And then type of the authentication, if it's going to be manually or authentication automatically. For automatic way, you need to have a service principal, either creating from here or manually creating inside the Entra ID. then definitely you can have automated scenario to onboard your the services in bulk. Then definitely tags jumped into the script, and this is the very simple script. Just log into your Linux machine, copy this one, paste that, log in, and then it's done. After between 2 to 5 minutes, you can see that your machine is connected and it's live. So this is my local machine that I already have the basically Foundry local connected to it. So when you have it, then you have a lot of options. You can easily update your machine, logs, checking the logs, policies, monitoring the insights, applying different security layer, defender for cloud even. So basically you have all the things that if you have a Linux machine inside cloud. That's pretty much fun to control everything from one centralized management plane. The good things about Azure Arc is onboarding to Azure Arc is free. So you do not need to pay for anything. Of course, if you want to use Defender for Cloud, that's a different story, but onboarding to Azure Arc is free. So combination of Foundry local and Azure Arc, it means, okay, I have a local LLM, and then I can extend a lot of AI services on that local LLM. And then when I want to manage it from somewhere around the other part of the globe, then I don't need to have some kind of security hassles to get access to that server. Then I can use Azure Arc. So pretty much free solution to control, manage, and deploy your scenario. So what I want to show you here is the connect option. So I'm going to set it to password. And again, I haven't opened even single port to this machine that I have. So pretty much secure, and it's agent-based scenario. So you can see there is a AZ command that I can already use. However, let me refresh this one because I really want to have a full screen here to show you. So here, I'm going to use my local account and then connect via browser. So now what is going on? It's going to connect to the agent that has been deployed on my local machine, and basically it's consuming that agent to be able to create this connection without any problem. And it does work with port 443 outbound for the server. So now it's trying to connect to the terminal. Here we go. As you can see, it's run AZ SSH arc, the command that even I can run it on my local terminal. So yes, asking for password. And here we go. I have connected to my Linux machine that it's basically on my local machine. So what I want to show you, it's pretty much interesting. As you know, for those that they are basically working with Linux machine, you can see the last login source, and this one is localhost. So it means the agent is responsible to control this session that I have here. So to show you how it's working, I have several comments saved here. So first of all, let's go to the, okay, let me see where I am. CD, okay, Foundry, local, and then samples, Python, native chat completion. This is one of the tests that I've done on this server. And then I have source. Let me try to paste it because I want to run the exact environment that I want and run the and active the environment. So, okay, the environment has been run. And before I go, I want to show you what I have in the Python file. So here, this is what exactly I copied from Microsoft Learn documentation for that specific sample. And what I've asked here as the user question, how I can make a pizza. So very simple. I just want to show you that how it does work. And again, I'm using Azure portal to be able to communicate with my server. So here I'm going to run Python app.py, and when I run this command, basically it's going to use the user question, or let's say user role or user system assign system prompt to be able to run this application and then immediately answer to me. So here, assistant start. So basically now it's consuming the small amount of the CPU that I assigned for this machine, and basically it's going to start the LLM based on the question that I asked, and it's run the LLM here. So basically, not only you can run the local LLM on your machine or your edge device, but also you can control it from anywhere literally around the world, and you can connect to your machine, control it, assign the security, control the security, run the security measurement, and basically you have everything. So as you can see, it's giving me the ingredients of the making a delicious pizza. The reason that it's not really fast, as I said, I gave it a very small amount of the resources to be able to check how much is reliable. But currently it's using the pretty much small model to be able to run. Good. So I'm going to stop this one. And yeah, let me see. I think I'm pretty much done. I'm going to share the last step, and then we can have our amazing friends back to the stage. Sorry, when you have several monitors, it's really hard to control them. Here, there we go, and share a screen, and here we go. Good. So thank you so much. The last word that I can give you, please go and try Foundry Local. It's free. You can use it whenever you want. You can use with only CPU. You do not need to have GPU to run it. This is the first step to understanding any models. You can build a lot of application around that. You can build it on your edge devices. So it's important that you start with something, and Foundry Local is that something that you can build your local LLM. If there is any questions, or if you want to connect me, definitely on LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm pretty much available if you have any questions. Otherwise, Nikos, if there is any questions waiting for us, then I'll be happy to answer.
Let's see. I don't see any questions. To be honest, let me see if I can bring back our friends to the four states. We have Negar. We don't see Negar. Hopefully we can hear you.
Let's try.
Yeah,
Hear me?
actually we can hear you and we can see you.
Let's see.
Yeah, perfect.
Shall I try with Mikelux also?
Yep.
There he is.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're all back.
Good. So
Thank you for an excellent
yeah, thank you.
presentation, Saeid.
I have a very important question because I know you guys for a long time. I know how much you're deep technical in AI nowadays. What do you think about Foundry Local? How much is important that we can dive to solutions around Foundry Local? What do you think?
I would go last.
Okay.
Yeah, I would personally think that for, defense ministries or organizations that are not fully on the cloud yet, this is a good option. I'm not dealing with that kind of clients these days, so I'm working fully on the cloud. However, there is definitely some need with some strict clients in defense industry specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
1 second before we get Mikael's insights, also, we have a question from Gustav. What resources do you recommend to start with on Microsoft Learn?
Well, I think you can share the link again in the chat, Nikos, which is the official document from Microsoft that everyone can use that. And it's pretty much straightforward, as I've shown you. Basically, it's like, I think it's maximum 5 steps that you can run the local LLM even in your laptop. And then this is going to be the first step. And I'm 100% sure you would love it and start testing that in different ways. And as I've mentioned, with vibe coding nowadays, connecting the Foundry local as the API service and connect it to other services. For example, I built this tooling calling the public AI for generating the image, but you can imagine how much capability you are going to have to be able to build a solid solution in your edge device. So just start with that link and then continue from there, because then you are going to get a lot of idea around that.
Great. Mikael, what are your thoughts on the local Foundry?
I mean, it's a fun setup. Like the real business value is still a little bit uncertain, but as Nega says, of course, you have industries that really cannot have any other options. And as we do with Arc, if you have proficiency in cloud, you want to do it the similar way in a isolated setup, then you already have the skills for it. But definitely there's good use cases, and also if you can run it locally and you have the hardware and you have some good use cases, you don't have to think about the cost, etc. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'm,
like
I'm
you have
really interested in seeing real live enterprise implementations. I haven't seen them
exactly.
so far.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really important that you have no problem to run a model without any kind of consideration around the cost. So then you can have more this kind of idea to build the solutions without thinking about the cost of that, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Nikos? You've been working with a lot
I
of edge devices.
Yes, I have. And that's a big discussion that I'm very happy to take, but not at this time. When it comes to Foundry Local, because I have been waiting and waiting for that, I am in the same line as Negar and Mikael, a little bit, as I understand that for the clients that have that specific need, it is a great solution. But I am a bit afraid about the hardware that you are going to need for this to be a realistic, viable solution. And I also got a little bit worried even more now when I saw your demo that it proposed using zucchini on pizza. And that's like hallucinations seem to be out of the planet. So but yeah, jokes aside, it is a great tool, and I don't see why it would be any different than the classical Foundry that we run online. So yeah, I like it. I haven't tried it as much as I would have wanted, and I will. As soon as I get my hands on hardware that won't give me more gray hair than the one I already have. Now, I'm afraid that we lost Negar again. We have had connectivity issues. I'm terribly sorry about that. But if we don't have any other questions, then maybe we could round up here. I don't see any other questions. Any last words from you, Saeed or Mikael?
Yeah, the only things that I have, it's my motto. I always have that with myself, never stop learning. just learning and learning and learning. This is the foundation. This was the first slide that I have based on the pillars that I basically defined.
That's the nicest thing. And you know what? I will actually write it here. Last words from you, Negar?
I have to thank you, Saeid, for preparing this session and delivering such a great session with demo. It's quite a niche area. There is not a lot of expertise around this area in the market, so it's quite brave and niche. And it was quite short notice, actually. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's important for me always to have demo on my sessions. You know me, it's like if you go with the slides, it's just like maybe it's going to be boring. So I really love to have demos, live demos. I'm pretty much scared every time that I'm going to have a live demo, but God pretty much loves me.
It was great.
Yeah,
That was great. Thank you so much for doing this, Said.
thank you
Thank
too.
you,
Thank you
Saeed.
having me.
And
Thank you having me.
before saying goodbye, we actually do have one last question again from Gustav. What
Okay, what
certifications do
certification?
you recommend for a Microsoft software engineer wanting to be better equipped for both using AI in the development process as well as building AI in solutions?
Okay, so I can give some idea plus a tip. Uh, of course, we have AI 102 for the engineers that they can basically learn and build the applications around AI. AI 900s, it's definitely the fundamental. But what I can tell, just wait a bit until 1st of the June. And Microsoft is going to release the new version of the certifications, which is pretty much basically dive into the specific expertise. For example, AI 102 is going to be changed to be more specific to Azure area. And of course, we are going to have two new certification around for basically business side of the AI and help those to just learn about how to build solution in terms of planning, strategy, and understanding. So just wait until 1st of the June, and then definitely you can find a lot of things around that. And follow Microsoft Learning page, which is can show you the learning path.
Great.
Maybe I could add something there.
Yeah, please do. Please
Sure,
do.
Michael.
Yeah, it's just a small tip. So Microsoft Build is coming up, and usually to Microsoft's bigger conferences, there's sometimes a campaign that if you do these learnings, you get a discount to do the certification, etc. So it's always good to have an eye on those if you're thinking about taking any kind of certification.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And before we say goodbye, Nikus, from Global Azure board members, thank you so much, guys. I know organizing these kind of events, even the digital version, it takes time. You are always busy, but you are pretty much dedicated yourself to the community. So much appreciate about all the things that you are doing for the community and your amazing audience. So big thank you from Global Azure.
Thank you, Saeed.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you.
much.
And thanks to everybody who attended. Until the next time, have a great time.